meet face to face, attend programs, and get more involved with ICF activities. In India, the ICF is present in all metro cities, and as today's program is the initiative from ICF Pune chapter, I would like to take you quickly to the ICF Pune chapter's journey too and look at its vision and the projects currently under its sleeves. I would like to add here that the ICF Pune chapter started 3 years ago, and it has grown from 39 members since last year to 60 plus members this year, out of which nearly 25 to 30 members are accredited by ICF Global. The Pune chapter is a consortium of high standard coaches and mentor coaches. Also, the ICF Pune chapter, through its active involvement in coaching programs, in carrying social impact projects, and taking peer coaching initiative, is on its way to become a charter chapter in India. Now, looking at the vision that the chapter's stakeholders had in their mind 3 years ago before its conception was to provide a human service to its thriving society and the coaching fraternity through high quality professional coaching and learning experience. This absolutely resonates with the vision statement of the Coach Federation that's based in US. So the chapter is committed to adding value to the coach's journey by creating a vibrant learning environment. I myself a party to it. Though I have just joined the chapter a few months ago, I have learned enormously during my association with Pune ICF chapter. And projects in Pune are centered around three anchors: learning from the experts, co-learning from peers, and broadening perspectives through interaction with other universe. These vistas help our chapter members and coaches in sharpening their skills as coaches and keep them in sync with what's new in the coaching world. So this was all in short about the Coaching Federation and ICF Pune, their roles and vision. Going forward with the program, I would like to invite the NHRD representative, Mr. Aman Raj Bali, who's present amongst us, to apprise the audience about the National Human Resource Development Network journey and its role in grooming leaders for tomorrow. Over to you, Mr. Raman.
Thank you so much, Ranu, and thank you for taking us, doing that small exercise. It did help me. I'm sure it helped others also, but for me, it did miracles. I was quite excited, and certainly why not? Because the kind of program that we have today. So, thank you so much for that good experience. On behalf of the entire National HRD network and the Pune chapter, I welcome all of you here on this very exciting day. The मौसम बहुत बढ़िया है, and whenever we have such kind of a webinar, I don't know it's a coincidence or I sit near this window and a lot of greenery and थोड़े से बादल भी छाए हुए हैं. मौसम थोड़ा सा मेरे अंदाज में बोलो तो आशिकाना भी है. Yeah, and we are going to talk about some exciting topics, that is coaching. Before that, all those people who don't know about National HRD Network, we are a national body of HR professionals working towards developing the community uh, based on networking. Started off many, many years ago, more than 3 decades ago, by a couple of gentlemen. Dr. T.V. Rao, you've heard of him, the late Dr. Uday Parikh, and their colleagues and friends. They started off in Ahmedabad, and now we are spread across 30 cities in India. Thousands of members, and even, of course, non-members are also associated with us. And we focus on skill development, organizing webinars now in this lockdown, thanks to the COVID-19. We've used this opportunity and have Pune chapter has organized more than, I think, some 40 to 45 webinars. More than 7,000 odd people have benefited from these sessions, and we also organize workshops, focused workshops. We just completed one on organizational development and change, done by two American gentlemen. This was in association with ASM. And we also completed a series of sessions on analytics. Uh, that happens to be one of our flagship programs. We've been conducting these for quite a few years now. We have our website in place. Our social handles are everywhere. NHRDN Pune. Uh, all those people who have interacted with Sheetal, you can get in touch with her for further details. We are a membership based organization. You can join us, take a membership, and benefit from all that we do. ये छोटा सा brief है about the Pune chapter. Sorry, or if anybody is talking to me, if not, then please mute. We'll interact later on. The Pune chapter, the committee comprises of Anand Khoth, who unfortunately is not with us right now. I mean, he's gone in a meeting, otherwise he's very much present. Uh, we and then मैं हूँ और हमारे साथ में है डॉक्टर नीरज मानकर. He looks after the treasury functions. We have Salil Malhotra. He looks after our media and the other activities, creatives. Then we have a large number of extended committee members who have come together to help us, support us in various assignments and the projects that we take. So currently we have a team of about, I think, 20-25 members. Yeah. And then we have a gentleman called Darpan Singh. I don't know if you've interacted with him. तो वो भी है हमारे support में. And then we have of course Sheetal, uh, who's the backbone. So Darpan and Sheetal look after and manage the entire activities of the Pune chapter. And sometimes they make us run around also. They push us quite a lot. बहुत काम कराते हैं. Yeah. So this is what it is now. To talk about the collaboration between ICF and NHRD, this has been on our mind for quite some time, and now fortunately with Jaishri, Kalpesh, and the other team members, we're seeing the light. It's come into action, the implementation stage. Why NHRD is collaborating? Well, we do some work in this field. Now let me tell you, I picked up some one saying, coaching is a unique process of human development, one that works to change a person's life for the better and help him or her achieve a number of specific objectives. I have not said this. There's a person called Ian Berry in his book Coaching, Ask Better Questions, Become a Better Coach. उसमें ये लिखा हुआ है. And the other thing which struck me and which resonates with our HR philosophy and the principles that HR professionals work on, yeah, the actual awareness that the person opposite you is an entire world and isn't lacking anything, and that you yourself are an entire world, allows you to coach him and to think about him in a positive way from a place of reality and abundance. Such an amazing thought. और ये आया है बेनी गैल ने कहा है from the secret of Jewish coaching. You know, we as HR professionals are, work for the development of the people, the employees that we interact with. And this is such a lovely thought. And fortunately, coaching is also that, and ICF is also working on those same principles, you know. And I'm sure that all the people who understand this will be able to grasp, and build upon more and bring in the culture of coaching in organization. So ICF and NHRD Pune chapter will be working on a long-term basis to to propagate, to bring in this change in organizations through our HR community, and of course better the lives of our employees, the connect, the development, the progress, the performance overall, building the community. So that is the basic intention. We have quite a few sessions lined up. The details will be shared with you by my other colleagues. So this, in short, this is what it is. So ladies and gentlemen, dil tham ke baithiye. We have Priya and Vinod with us. Vinod is an old acquaintance and a friend, very well renowned in the industry. प्रिया के बारे में अभी आप लोगों ने जो लोग ज्वाइन किए हैं उन्होंने सुना है उनके बारे में. So this is the first time that we are interacting with Priya. Thank you so much, Priya and Vinod, for accepting our offer to come and share your knowledge and expertise with us. That's it. बस आप लोग बस बैठिए and enjoy the session. And folks, we look forward to your continued support in this journey. Thank you so much. So, Sunil Chippa, आपकी मुस्कुराहट बड़ी अच्छी है. Thank you. Ji, over to you.
All right. Thank you, Manji, for sharing the information on your organization and acknowledging the partnership we are getting into for doing more work together. And thank you for that. So I shall now would like to give a short introduction about the panelist and the moderator participating in the conversation on Coaching Works. So our first panelist is Ms. Priya Tandon. She is a site head and R&D lead at Toyota Avery. And our second panelist is Mr. Vinod Bidweg. He's the CHRO at Alpha Level. And the moderator is our own Ms. Jayashree Kirtane, President ICF Pune chapter. Yeah. So I'll take this opportunity to speak a little more about these personalities present amongst us today. Starting with Priya Tandon. I welcome you, Priya. And presently Priya is working with Toyota Avery, as I told before, Nordic ID leader holding a dual role as a head of Healthcare and Welfare India and the head at Toyota Pune site, locally in Pune. So she is a head globally as well as locally. Prior to joining Toyota Avery, she worked as a director solution development in Allscripts, US healthcare IT company. She has been managing diverse global teams in multiple locations. She is a seasoned and experienced coach for software professionals too, and is one of the founders of Awake platform to empower women in technology. Glad to have you over, Priya.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. Now, moving on to our second panelist, Mr. Vinod Bidweg. Welcoming you, Vinod. Vinod is a global HR leader with more than 20 years of experience in HR and 15 years of leadership experience in big Indian and multinational industries. He's currently working with Alpha Level as CHRO and VP HR. He has authored Marathi books too, titled College to Corporate via Interviews. Swayam Vikasachi Swayam Prerna is the second one. Another one is Vyakti Matva Vikasacha Collage. Apart from that, couple of English titles that I got to know are his works are Password to Enrich Life, Holistic Approach to Human Engagements, and he is a recipient of a prestigious Asia Pacific HRM Leadership Award in 2014 and a Vibrant Gaurav Puraskar in 2016. So his accomplished Vinod for you all today evening. And coming to Jayashree Kirtane, she is the president of ICF chapter Pune. She is trained in mathematical economics. It was during her work tenure at J. Krishnamurti Foundation that she figured out a calling for learning applied psychology. And that eventually led her to become one of the 100 most fabulous coaching leaders. She owns a consulting firm. She's a mentor coach. She's a faculty at Institute of Product Leadership Bangalore. She is also a speaker at Society of Women Engineers and a board member at Foundation for Children Protection, Muskan. Great achievement, Jayashree. Phew, I need to catch my breath here. So welcoming the most talented and humble Jayashree too. I welcome you all here on this webinar and would like to hand over the reins to Jayashree to take it forward. Jayashree, all yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Ranu. And, handing over reins seems like, very, that of adrenaline.
No,
yeah. So, thank you all of you to be here, this evening. It's a working day finally and evening. So thank you. And thank you, Priya and Vinod, for accepting our invite. The partnership that Aman talked about, and we're going to have a series of webinars and something else about which we will talk a little later. And the title of this particular webinar is Coaching Works, right? So it does, and that's our belief, and that's our belief, which is a shared belief amongst all three of us, and therefore we are here, in conversation for all of you. So, before even I ask both Priya and Vinod as to what has been their tryst with coaching. I think one of the things that I would like to share with you is the thing that inspired, of course, the works of J. Krishnamurti, but the exact moment of change from math econ to applied psychology happened in a meeting which I did not even know was called a coaching meeting back then, 17 years ago. And in that meeting, a couple of powerful questions asked by the person really made me think as to what am I doing and what should I be doing. And that really, helped me change my entire life. And so in that meeting, I saw him and I said, I want to do what he's doing. But I did not know that what he was doing was coaching. I did not know that he was called a coach. And here am I. So I'm really, paying respect to my first coach and mentor by speaking about coaching works here with all of you. So Priya and I, we really go, long way. I think we just were talking 13, 14 years ago. So we have met through interventions at her company. And so Priya, I think first your story as to what is your connection to coaching?
Okay, sure. And there is always that particular moment of change that happens in everybody's life, and you are absolutely right. When I was telling you the story, which is, when I became a manager for the first time, I hated it to the core, just because I never wanted to go over there. And precisely one of the very heavy reasons for that also in 2004 or that during time period. If you are in a very established product company and if you are going for a manager, basically you couldn't do technical. That's why you went into management. That is the reason that you go into management, and that is what is the image that was put on me. And I really hated it to the core. That why am I into this field and why it is happening and things like that. And that time, my manager actually kept telling me that you have it in you. And I was thinking like, oh, this is such a political game that this management is playing. Where you have it in you. What is the meaning of that? You have it in you. Is it that you don't have it architecture in your view? That is why you are a manager. So from that time, where we are here into management now, there is a immense amount of journey, and I seriously started loving the leadership role from the time I understood that it doesn't have to be the role of a command and control. And I have actually got, and I was telling you, one of the things that I started understanding that this is a field that I really want to believe in. The leadership field is want to believe in because it's a skill. It's just that you don't happen to be there. And the coaching was a very big part of it. And this is the moment when I actually attended for one of your first session that you have given us. And that time you were not in with ICF or something, but that's when I understood, oh, I'm going to enjoy this journey a whole lot. And that session was all about perceptions. And I really love the fact that we are talking about not black and white, and we are talking about perceptions. And from that time, in 2010, 11, when I came in touch with Navagati Bangalore and started working, taking a coaching from Aruna, that was excellent change in the life. So that's when I absolutely understood that not only that you can be an extremely good business leader, you can actually create a self-sustainable system that will scale you up and actually will be contributing to your own growth. So that's it. That's about my journey into coaching. So I'm a lead promoter of coaching, and I've done a lot of work into this to be able, so that the leaderships that are upcoming, and also whether formal leader or informal leader, actually understand the changing needs and actually enjoys their job by learning how not to tell but to ask. It's a very big journey. So that's about my journey.
Thanks, Priya. And Vinod, would you like to come in? Those of you who are not very familiar with Zoom, I'm just saying that there is on the right hand side, you'll have the view button on the screen. So you can, if you want, you can have a speaker view. So you get a good closer look at your speaker. Yes, Vinod, over to you.
Yeah, I'm fortunate enough that I got a lot of formal and informal coaches. Initially, when I started my career, maybe having started as a management trainee and then, grown as a professional, I was not aware about that, my boss or my boss's boss. Most of the time, it was boss's boss, because that time boss was not that, but boss's boss always used to speak with me during, in the canteen in the lunch table, asking me, what are your hobbies, what you are doing, how the job is going. And then, calling me later stage and identifies some areas that, okay, you are working on this particular project. So what you are doing there, are there any challenges? So, and asking me a lot of questions. This started, and he used to give some, he used to challenge me a lot. And I was a little bit, hesitant that time that, okay, why he challenging? Because, as a young age, you want to do something different, and our way is a highway sometimes that time. So I realized this, he was challenging me for the, for identifying the potential within me and giving me some solutions, and he was encouraging me to find out my own solutions. Then I grown and I started, and then when I learned as a formal coaching, I realized that what my earlier boss's boss used to do, in fact, he was informally coaching me without any formal booking, any formal sessions, and that. Incidentally, I took the role of in my earlier organization, which is is a Dutch multinational, DSM, Royal DSM, the part of Royal DSM. When I was elevated as a management team member and the director HR, so we had one of the session for 6-month interventions for our management team members. So whole management team was changed. All the members were new, and then that was the need where we were asked to undergo. And then I realized what I learned over a period of time was similar. Only here it was a formal session where there were 2 coaches assigned to us. One was internal coach, who was normally the senior member from the board, and another was external coach. She was actually helping us, challenging, and then there used to be a formal sessions. But then I realized that is a formal process, but there are a lot of informal ways of coaching where managers do, or senior leadership does in the organization. Over a period of time, then I realized I started, because I was unknowingly and unintentionally started while speaking with my team members, larger teams, then how to do the job. It started asking questions, putting yourself in their shoes, understanding, and then it automatically happens, because either formal way or informal way, because as a manager, most of the time, those are the informal ways when you coach, not as a formal ways. But then whenever it is a formal or informal, it automatically started. Our mind goes in, is conditioned, fine-tuned with the coaching mode or coach mode. And then we started speaking with the, team members, candidate, or some new joinees who are assigned as a, buddy to us in a management team, or sometimes that happens. So my journey started from informal to formal coaching, I say, where I was not aware about that time, in 1997 to almost 2003 or 2004, when I was young, I was, growing in the career ladder. There were a lot of, and I feel fortunate that I got such bosses who put their efforts in my development. And then it is also because somebody, did for me. So it is my duty to give it some team members. So I also see that as a value addition to the business and to their, because coaching is also making the difference in somebody's life and helping them find out some answers. Not necessarily you give the solutions, but then find out so that they themselves do that and find out particular solution which can be replicated by themselves rather than giving the easy solutions. Sometimes members or team members doesn't recognize that. And I remember when we had a senior leadership meeting in Shanghai, there were global leaders, and one of the agenda was about the people agenda. And when we were discussing about, everybody was in agreement that yes, development is necessary. We need to develop the people. But then everybody was saying we don't have a formal or informal ways. Then I asked the participant that how many times you think that your manager coaches you. So there are hardly 2-3 people raise their hands. And then I asked another question, that how many times you think as a manager you are coaching your team members, and everybody raised their hands. I think that's I think the catch we need to understand.
Wonderful. Yeah. And yeah, very often they say, right? I mean, the leader is conspicuous sometimes by his absence, and so is the coach.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks. And you use the word, the asking questions pretty often in your narrative. Just telling Priya the other day on the call that one of my coaching clients in a WhatsApp conversation was asking a lot of questions, and I said, "Oh, you're asking a lot of questions," and he said, "Oh, are you kidding me? People make money and people make whole asking questions
By asking
so
questions.
I said, yes, of course, that is true. That is true. So, my question to both, you and Priya is, because we are in this, specious company of a lot of HR professionals. Some of them could be L&D, some of them could be business partners, and so on. So, what's with HR and coaching? I mean, what's that? If we conceive it as a Venn diagram, what's that overlap between HR and coaching? Why should even HR folks care about coaching? That's my question to both of you.
Yeah, I will take this question as I think the overall the concept of HR, if you compare 10, I will say when I started my career, the HR
Yeah, his screen was frozen, right?
was totally different. And today HR is transformation model where we are different. Am I audible?
Now, yes. In between, we lost you for a minute.
Yeah. So we are working in the era where HR is totally changed, because every time when every HR is the function where everybody has the opinion, from everybody. So I think people may not have that opinion about sales, marketing, finance, but HR is because it covers every aspect of the life of human. And overall, over a period of time, HR is evolving, because if you look back 5 years back or maybe 10 years back, today the HR is different. And I particularly say that, there are experts in HR. There are people who are doing their day-to-day job, which is as a transactional HR or operational HR. But one of the dimensions of HR role, whatsoever in company you are, it is HR business partnering. And it also means that when HR business partnering is contributing to the business on a people angle, on a people side. And how you do that? You do that by facilitating the change within the organization, transformation within the organization, developing the people in the organization. And for that, you need that acumen. I think coaching is one of the things as HR professionals where you coach business leaders, line managers on certain aspects of the people issues, or even sometimes business, what they challenges. HR always is a talking partner to the business leader most of the time, because they also have human beings. They have their own frustrations. They have their own people issues. They have personal things also. So if credible HR partners learn that coaching skills, it is easy for him to coach those managers on a people aspect side. That is one part. Second part is educating, training, and developing the managers to act as effective managers, efficient managers. And when it is possible, when our managers understand the people aspect of the organization. Because most of the time, people take pride, they always say that I'm leading a big team, I have 100 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, or 10 people, because typically in Asian context, your status is defined by how many people are reporting to that. But not necessarily always it is possible. And then if you have team members, how you are getting the job done. And specifically in new way of working where most of the monotonous jobs are becoming automated. Artificial intelligence is working. You need people who can work as a human, bring some creativity, innovation in the job. So managers also need to develop those people effectively, which will have the impact on the business. So that is another part of the coaching aspect in HR functions, I see.
I will like to take a stab at it from the business angle. Now that Vinod has very well put, actually, all the points that Vinod you were putting, I'm the receiver party because I'm coming from a business side, right? I'll tell you how it works from a business side and how it has changed in last 10 years or maybe 10 to 12 years. So earlier, do not feel bad about it, but this is the fact that earlier when there was this HR business partnership was there, HR business partnership was not even called to sit into the business table when there is a meeting on. Okay, number one. Number two is because there were always a question mark, what is the value that you add by sitting on this table? Okay. The third thing is there is also a sort of a phobia that HR person had inside them, saying, I don't understand this. I mean, because these people talking in this alien language is basically a work that brings us money. And what brings us money is our people. Actually, the piece of code doesn't bring us the money. What brings us money is the talent. Which we have. Now, from that time, now the transformation is, and that's why it is very, very important to understand how the HR transformation has happened. Most of the companies are actually going towards automating and putting everything, all the processes, the operational processes into automatic system. There are, in my company, there are bots which are available for every damn thing. Okay. So is that HR job is now diminishing? It is not. Earlier, that question was asked for management also. Is the management job diminishing? It is not. It is transforming for the better. And how it is transforming for the better, and I want to give you the example. My HRBP partner is Sonia Patinkar. And I have this LT team. She sits with us with every LT. And she observes and keep observing. And that is what the most of the time that when she is observing, she's also trying to tell me whether these are the messages going through, not going through, what is the feel of the meet is, how it is going, all those kinds. But at the same time, I have, as a business leader, I am giving utmost importance to her presence at every stage, whether it is the LT meeting or whether it is a appraisal process or anything and everything, is because the transformation that has happened for HR is where they have become your partner on equal level. They ask you questions and after questions, and they're not questions like, they're not like logistical questions. They're questions like which will actually make you reflect on the things. And in coaching, reflection is an extremely important activity. And it's not a feedback. So the earlier the way HR is to give you feedback, and you used to deny that because you don't know the whole story. Now HR gives you reflection. Reflection is situational based. And when it gives you reflection, it actually tells you to look at it from a different pair of eyes and ears and ask you questions. You ultimately go and get the answers. And I'll tell you my personal experience that in last 3 years that she is my HRBP partner, there is twice that I have gone into a very deep learning stage by understanding what she was asking me. Now, for that, she doesn't have to be Sachin Tendulkar. She doesn't have to be the top player and a top business leader to understand what is happening. She just have to be an empathetic coach to understand that I can be pragmatic over here and I will still be able to ask you a question without having an inhibition in my mind, whether I'm equal to you or not, because I am equal. I am partner to you. So I think that is, that has brought not only a lot of value to her, but it has brought a lot of value to my LT for sure, because she's not just a soundboard. She is somebody who would ask you questions to find your own answers. So, and that is a change, that she will not judge, that she will be completely unbiased about it. She'll be completely detached about the whole thing. It doesn't make any difference for her. So I think what Vinod was saying, I absolutely 100% agree with him. This is what is happening, and that is why the HR and the business should come into this coaching field, because most of the businesses goes through the transformation, not just 5 years and 10 years. Now they go through the transformation every 3 years, because the market is changing, the business is changing. But that's it. I just wanted to make sure that I reciprocate to what Vinod was saying from the business side as a business leader.
Thank you for being ambassador, Priya.
Big time. Big time.
Thanks, Vinod and Priya both. And I think what I heard you say, Priya, was the courage, and the courage, but still non-judgmental. And ask questions, not just a sounding board, but ask intelligent, incisive questions, so that the business leader really thinks. And this is exactly what, because while I'm a panel moderator, I'm also wearing my here, and this is exactly what we've been trying to talk about. So one is the whole credentialed path of coaching that many of us have taken, and that's because we've chosen that as our line of business, so to say, right? But you don't have to be, one doesn't have to be a credentialed coach to really embody a coaching mindset. And that's exactly what we've been talking. So, come to think of it, mota kya cheez hai coaching mindset mein, right? One is asking, first of all, active listening. And in active listening, all that your non-judgmental thing especially will come. Listening with all my ears, and then asking powerful questions, and then creating awareness, and then challenging your partner, business partner, or the client, and so on. And all this, while doing all this, being completely invested and interested in the well-being of the other person.
Yes.
That's all we do, actually, if you see, as coaches, with our clients. And, that is where I always feel that HR, L&D, HR business partner, whichever roles they are donning in the HR function, I think embodying a coaching mindset is not easy, but it is certainly possible and beneficial. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you. So for all of you here who are, in this, conversation with us present virtually, you might be wondering, okay, these people are talking about coaching, and how great it is, and what it is. And some of you might have experienced coaching already, and some of you might not have experienced coaching yet. And therefore, I would like to, let you know that next week, that is November 7th, we're going to offer you a coachathon. Offer a coachathon to only HR professionals, only those who have been present in this session. And the coachathon will work something like this. You will all have some, a little bit of demo or a little bit of gyan about coaching in the beginning. And you will all go into individual coaching rooms where one ICF coach will offer you a pro bono, free of cost, one individual session in that coaching room. Then we all come back to the main room and debrief, but that is your choice, because whatever you discuss in the coaching room, it's your choice to discuss or not discuss. But we would rather focus on the process than what exactly happened in that. So, may I request Sheetal to, give the link to that form here in the chat box, and that link will appear in this chat box. Yeah, thanks, Sheetal. Once again, maybe another 2-3 times before we close this. So please fill this. There are going to be limited seats. It's not going to be like unlimited seats. There are going to be limited seats. But if you are interested in experiencing coaching firsthand, please fill that form. Yeah, thank you. Now going to the next, question and predicament that we, I know both you, Vinod, and Priya have been experiencing it. It is the whole, number of generations in the company, right? And especially of course, millennials joined the workforce a few years ago, and the Generation Z coming into the workforce. So I'm just wondering, not just HR, but in general, whether leaders in the organizations, and their styles, does it I mean, is the Gen Z coming into workforce having any impact on the leadership styles that are expected to be exhibited?
Sure. Vinod, would you like me to go?
Yeah, you go ahead, Priya.
Okay.
Go ahead.
A very good question, and this is also precisely the reason we have to change. Okay, because when I was a management person, and every time that I used to get a feedback, delegate more, delegate more, delegate more, and I used to think like I will delegate, but I am not having a complete trust that this will actually go in a right way. And that was the time I was thinking, done with it. And then I saw this Sir John Whitmore's video of a golf video, right? And I did not even know what that coaching means at that time. That video has created a tremendous impact on me. I understood that I have to go for a smart questioning kind of a thing, and not really micromanagement kind. What is the difference between a micromanagement and a smart questioning? But from there, let's understand what is this Zoomers or Gen Z or even millennials are thinking. So they demand, right? They demand more than they are grateful. They like variety. They like free thinking. They like straight feedbacks. They like partnerships. They don't like role models. They like to seek inner motivation all the time. They like autonomy, right? All these are, and those who are in the generation X feels like, oh, we got it like a hard way. You better get it in a hard way. And that's not the generation Z is. And you have to change for that generation, because that's the generation which is going to actually build your businesses even further. So your influencing style, why it has to change, is the primary reason is also because the millennials and generation Z, you don't want that generation gap to come in, where they see they are not going to role model you. They're not going to say, oh, I'm so utterly grateful. Now, for example, today you have talk about your mentor. I talk about my mentor. We don't talk about his mentor, bosses. That's not the language they are going to speak. That doesn't mean they're any less grateful. They are very grateful for the system. They like to be your partner. I had a boss in the same company who's 32-year-old and who was the L1 CEO plus one. And that is the generation which is going to be your boss also. So I really feel that what is important is to understand, if you really want to partner to them, why coaching is important, because they are asking you, just tell me why. Just tell me why it is this way. And you ask them, you ask the intelligent questions to them, or you actually follow the grow model, or crude way, or whatever ways. You have to understand that they have to find their own answers, because they like autonomy. They don't want you to give them the answers of the things, and it is not their, I don't think it is their dudeness or their emphasis for no reason. I really feel that it is because they can go faster if they know why. They can go faster if they know the question that you're asking will make them think, and that will make them feel like they are doing it, and they will adopt to the new changing reality way faster, and they've become your power multipliers. And if you are not calling them a power multipliers, it is impossible for you to scale up. Where I am sitting, if I have 2 jobs to do, it is because it's not just that company can afford to have another person. It's also because I look for my own growth. And when I'm looking for my own growth, I still have to manage both the sides equally. And if I have to do that, I have to understand how to trust people, how to increase the leadership maturity, how to do systemic thinking. And if you are doing that, you are nothing but a coach. You are actually understanding how the system works, and then you will be more pragmatic, more detached and attached at the same time. You will be more invested in people, and they become your power multipliers. If they are your power multipliers, and empowerment will come anyways. I mean, many people talk about give empowerment, give. I'm completely against it. Who are you to give empowerment? It is up to them to take an empowerment from you, right? So Generation Z is going to take what it takes for them to be successful. And I feel I am blessed coming from Generation X, still working with Generation Z, and really feel in place, suitable in their company, and it is only because you don't have innovations. Your egos are not greater than. It's okay if they find their own answers. They are not going to judge you how intelligent you are. They are just going to see how all of us are successful into this. So that's my take on why we should bring coaching as an aspect. Thank you, Kalpesh.
Wonderful, Priya. And somebody in the chat box just also acknowledged, she said, I am from Gen Z and I completely agree with what you are saying. So people are resonating.
Thank you. Good.
Vinod, would you like to say what you are seeing in your company?
Yeah. See, our company is engineering, machine equipment company. And typically in engineering companies, you have a multiple demographic. We have generation, the generation who is retiring now, going out of the company. We have a generation X, we have generation millennials. And the ratio is also different because, it's 40, 60 and, and every generation has different, they're unique, is not like, good or bad. Because of their upbringing, because the struggle they went through, typically, baby boomers and generation X, I think they care about what they get. And that's why, they're not easily giving away. So, like empowerment, for example, or what they get. One of the things we need to understand about the purpose, and specifically millennial and generation Z, they want to know the purpose. If you align that purpose with their job purpose and organization purpose, it is easy to influence them. But then most of the time, we are also not clear about the purpose in day-to-day, matters. So people actually struggle find out their own purpose. I think we have a lot of very, purpose, mission statement, and everything is in a, written in a wallpaper and, exhibited on the corporate corridors and other things. But as an integrity point of view, how people understand that and how we actually follow that, for example, where we need to coach, train, and develop them. And when you are, because one is purpose, second is they care about, and it is a dilemma and struggle as an individual thinking versus collective thinking. Sometimes you may feel that millennial generation or generation Z, they are individualistic, but then they also care. They are friends. They will actually go and collectively in a teamwork, they will work together, because that is very, and that you have to put yourself in their shoes. Empathy, normally the people says that you need to be curious about the people. Most of the times we are curious about certain things, but how we are curious, our curiosity goes about the people, understanding the people, and then it plays. So I think nowadays, in past, coaching or mentoring was not that much, because people used to learn traditionally by observing, by doing on their own. But today it is a requirement of in any organization, how you are actually equipping different managers. Either it can be, because both needs to gel with each other. And it's also applicable how you coach millennial generation and Z generation, and how you coach X generation, because they need to work, and they need to work in sync for the benefit of the organization. That's why I fully agree with that. They are different, and we need to be have a unique style, unique coaching style for them. We have to identify that, and that's going to be the value proposition for HR professionals, in fact, going forward.
Wonderful, thank you. So it is like curiosity, empathy, and so we use this word pretty often in coaching: unconditional positive regard for the other person. And that I also thought that when Priya talked about, it's not about my ego or your ego. It is about just having that mutual respect that each one of us has something to contribute.
True.
Yeah, so that unconditional.
Absolutely.
Amazing. And before we go into, so it is actually already 6:15. So Kalpesh, do we have any questions from the audience? Somebody is saying every manager leader needs to become a coach for high performance for the team. Your comments. This is applicable across generations. Yeah.
I want to make an additional. Sorry.
Sorry?
So go ahead, Priya. I was just reiterating that, yeah, that's the question we've received.
Yeah.
No, what was the question? Sorry, I actually had a comment on your comment, Jayashree.
Yes, please.
Actually, when we talk about coaching, let's understand coaching is not limited to the managerial or a formal leadership role. Okay, in generation that, in world that we are today, and most of them talking about from IT product perspective also, or IT company perspective also, most of the places that you will see that everything is agile ways transformed. And if you have not read a book called Management 3.0, I insist that every leader should read it. Management 3.0 is something will tell you that where the coaching really works, where autocrativeness really works, where your command and control will work, where your consulting will work, and things like that. But it's a very practical book. It's a book written by a person who has gone through it, and it's not a somebody who is a scholar who has written it, somebody who has experienced it and failed 3 times has written it. And I really value such people who fail and then write a book saying, hey, this is the way I failed. And I really like that. One of the things that I wanted to tell is this coaching is required at every level. For example, there are Scrum Masters who are leaders. There are architects who are also leaders. Those are leading the project. They are also leaders. There's so many. There are not just people who report into you are leaders. Okay, leaders are anybody who's driving any particular initiative as leaders, right? And there will be multiple leaders, and they will work in the network form. No more there will be hierarchical form, and that is just the truth. You're working in a network ways of working. You're really not working into hierarchical ways, right? So your fate is not decided by just your manager and your manager's manager, and it is decided by the stakeholders that are there and getting impacted. If that is the truth, we actually, in my own organization, when I was thinking about this is when we started coaching for there is no level that we have put. If you are if your job really, current responsibility demands you to lead an effort where there are multiple stakeholders, doesn't matter they're reporting to you or not, you need to learn role model. You need to, because the most difficult job is not of a manager. In India, it is not of a manager. It is about a person who's not a manager and managing so many things. That is, and that's when coaching really helps big time. Because why people should listen to you if you're not a manager? I mean, first thing they say, you're not my manager. Don't talk to me. Half of the time that they are just giving into authority. Okay. But then the Scrum Master, why the Scrum Master always want to be a manager? Because they feel I also want this power position. And I want to really talk about this, that power is just, it's so decentralized that I don't think any manager is going to get a job because they can take care of the people. The leaders are going to get job because you can understand the system, you understand the stakeholders in the system, and these people are also stakeholders in the system, and you understand the risk in the system, and then you deliver the system. That is why you will get paid. Not because you are taking care of 100 people organization and you're doing performance appraisal of 300 people, 400 people, 1,000 people, whatsoever. I frankly feel that is the reason the coaching language is important for everybody. So I really want to, I'm not going against ICF. I have done myself an ICF. I insist on people learning the skill more than a certification, because the skill is just going to be bare necessary thing for tomorrow. It needs to be, it will be understood and assumed on your profile that you have this in you. If you don't have it, I don't know how you will be able to create your circle of influence, because circle of control is getting smaller and smaller and circle of influence getting bigger and bigger. And if you have to survive in this world, then you have to understand how to maneuver all these things without an authority place as such. But yeah.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Vinod, there is one question which I would particularly request you to take. Now, how do you choose coaches?
I think, yeah, it is The coach, first thing is the coach and coachee relationship be comfortable, because otherwise it will not work. And it is totally depend upon what the need of the coachee is. Sometimes, there are different ways, like, for what you need, what is the purpose of coaching? Either it is you want to totally transform the, your functional area, organization, or yourself, or the coaching is just handle the performance issues within the team, or it is just development and making the people ready for the next leadership role. What is the purpose? And accordingly, you can choose the coach. Now there are multiple things that, okay, what particular skills you need to want to, the people need to be coached. What are their certain, value addition you want to bring in the coachee? So there are certain aspects before identify the coaching, we need to understand. And then, I think there are, and I think, yes, ICF is good. There are different models, things. You have to choose what is like, Priya rightly said, in our organization, we use a GROW model, which is normally very easy for the managers to understand. And then, there are short, it is a compulsory for every managers to go through these sessions. It is a mandatory training. And I think it is working well, because at least, coaching people took it as a very, is a larger things, and it is very difficult. But I think there is, and people sometimes consider that if we appoint a coach, it will be, everything is a black and white. There are certain gray areas in the process. We need to understand what the comfort level of the person is, how the curiosity of the coach is, because coach can bring, take the person to the water. And at the end of the day, it is coach's responsibility. I think that if that comfort is there, then identifying the coach is very easy. And then you can develop your internal coach. You can, find out sometimes organization look into that. Okay, we do, because people may not be comfortable with the internal coach. So then, the external coach can play a major role. And I think that we need to understand.
Right. Thank you. No, you're right. Of course, the coach can maybe encourage the person to go to the water, but finally the accountability of action still lies with the coaching.
Yeah, and that's why it is very important that how the process is followed, because coach can bring that change in the life of the people, but then provided that challenging and owning that decisions, owning that development part, owning certain initiatives is with coaching, and that comfort should be there with both.
Absolutely. I think there was one, so Mr. Venkateswaran, if you're not talking to us, can you please be on mute? So, there is one question, I think, here in the chat box, and I was just reading that. How do you transform somebody who's, low performer and in a challenging situation, and then accelerated performance, etc. Something to that effect. I think one of the things that we're going to discuss in the next webinar is, debunking or demystifying some of the myths about coaching. So one of the myths about coaching, because all coaches and coaching fans come together, we may sometimes make the mistake of believing that coaching is the panacea, coaching is the answer to everything, and which is not true. So different situations will require different styles. In many situations, coaching will work, but in many other situations, coaching will not work. Yeah. There's one question.
Jayashree,
yes,
Jayashree, just want to take a moment to acknowledge that 34 people have already registered for the Coachathon. So that's a big excitement which we can see. And I inspire all the other 70 people who are here on the webinar to register, because it's going to be an experience which will make a difference.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Right.
Thanks.
Sorry, over to you, Jayashree.
No, so there was one, I think, question here, and I think which is important, and that may be the last question in this panel discussion. What is the difference between coaching and mentoring? So we can, as coaches, just go on and on about the conceptual difference between the two. But I would, leave it to both Priya and Vinod to answer that question as to what's the difference between coaching and mentoring.
Vinod, would you like to go? Or you want me to go? Okay, so since Vinod is not responding, probably is some issue. What is the difference between a coaching and a mentoring? Actually very simple. And then there is a consulting also, and then there is a different models of which are there. But mentoring is basically a skill that you have, and you teach that skill to somebody in a complete or a partial manner, and you get that other person's skill improved, which is indirectly doing the things that needs to be done. That is called mentoring. Coaching is where you may not know anything about that person's skill. You don't. So it's like, you know, you may not be great mechanic yourself, but you will teach. You will be able to tell somebody, ask them the questions, and let them understand to find their own answers, so that they take their own steps and make their own plans and go on. And on that path, they may require a skill mentor, and that's fine. Okay. So usually, if you are giving a direct physical skill to somebody, it's called mentoring. And if it is coaching, you are basically building up the confidence in a person, that the person is able to fish it for himself or herself, is the coaching. And there is also a big myth that which is there, that you know, coaching takes a long time to achieve the results. Okay, why will you go this way, that way, when you can directly tell the person what to do, because you have experienced it yourself? And that is the biggest pitfall you can have as a coach. But then for some other time. But that's the difference between a coaching and mentoring.
Right.
Jayashree, there are a
Yeah.
few questions from the audience. Do we have time to answer them?
So I'm just looking through them. I think one question Nandan is asking, people think they don't need coaching and they know everything. How do you handle such thought process? So Nandan, maybe, you know, it requires a little longer answer, but one answer from my side is that you cannot coach somebody who's not willing to be coached.
Yes.
Yeah, the coachee chooses to get coached. The HR or the senior leadership may force somebody to get into the coaching engagement, but for somebody to truly get coached, the person needs to be, available for himself and for that coaching space. So that was one question. And Ankita asked a question, do you expect a coach to be senior? So Ankita, this is a tricky question, because that way, if you see, if one embodies a coach mindset and, one is present, fully present for the client, the age or seniority does not matter, should not matter. If you ask me practically, if you are a coach and you are kind of, submitting your profiles to the organizations quickly go through that. And sometimes acceptability from the coachee's point of view may get impacted by the, gray hair or your experience and so on. So concept theoretically it doesn't, but practically it does sometimes come into play.
And I just want to tell you the experiment that has happened, and in the when we were also doing 100 hours of ICF, I have chosen a coach who was 15 years younger than me. For the reason is, I always feel that the more senior you become, there is heavy baggage which you have to unlearn something. The younger you are little more in peace with yourself, and you are more open about certain things. It has really worked very well with me. So this person was a doctor. He was 15 years. He was his first job. And he was also taking a coaching sessions from Navgati, and I was also doing it. He was my coach. And the discovery that I have done with him, I have actually given him the lot of credit for what he has done for me. So it is not at all important that the coach experience in some things really matters. But what matters is whether that person is in peace with himself or herself or not before that person coach you, because the person has to be completely free in the mind before that person comes. Because that person is going to listen to all the things that has never heard before. So you should be also mentally ready to actually listen to somebody. So
wow, wonderfully said. And Wow, it's already 6:30. Time really flies when we are in good company. And friends, so for today, we are coming closer to the closing of this, webinar. And therefore, I'm just inviting Sheetal from NHRDN to make some closing remarks. Sheetal?
Yes, yes. So, my dear participants, I would just like to show you one small video quickly, and then I will talk about it. Yes, so one person can save up to 8 lives. So we probably Indians are a big population. So let us take this pledge and say try to save more and more lives as we can. So we just want you to reach out to us and help us in reaching more audience by creating more awareness about this session. So please invite us to your events and help us in spreading the awareness. So please just reach out to NHRDN or iGift Life. Thank you so much for listening
Thanks.
patiently. And now invite Ms. Ranu to do the further remarks, please.
Sheetal, you may want to stop sharing your screen.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks. Ranu, you're on mute.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. So we had a wonderful free-flowing session. Thanks to our panelists and, of course, Jessie, to you. The most exciting part for me and the takeaway from this session is the mindset that she shared about the Generation Z and millennials. I, coming from a millennial generation, I have a Gen Z at my home, my son himself, and he comes across as a great mentor to me. Yes. So we do need to time console them. Otherwise, we're going to miss something big shift happening around us. Yes. So before we end, I would like to make a quick announcement about the upcoming webinars in the series, which is going to be on busting the myth about coaching, followed by the last and the final one on creating a coaching culture. And the dates for these will be announced in due course of time. So stay tuned. This will be updated on our LinkedIn account for the ICF Pune. And over to Kalpesh for winding up the session.
Thank you, Ranu. So a big heartfelt thank you to Vinod, Priya, and Jayashree. I think a big round of applause for sharing the insights. I think and the best was the relatability, the actual experience. Not as a theory, but actually of what you've experienced on ground and how it added value and made a difference. I think that's what stays aligned with the theme of today, which was where we said coaching works, and it does. So thank you, all three of you, for the time you gave. I get the privilege of being a part of ICF Pune and being a part of NHRDN Pune to thank both the bodies. Okay, thank you ICF Pune for for being generous and for willing to contribute to the HR fraternity that we are all a part of. And thank you NHRDN for extending and being willing and open to bring this to the community and collaborating with the coaching community. So I think on behalf of both the bodies, to all the audience who have been here, stay tuned and let's keep growing and bring coaching as a culture in our lives, in our organizations, in our communities, because that's what will make difference and make people think on their own feet and get the answers for themselves rather than we having to be problem solvers for everyone. So thank you everyone once again.
Kalpesh, thank you Aniruddha also.
Yes.
Our unseen volunteer, always behind the
Thank you so
screens.
much.
Aniruddha, thank you very much.
So
Thanks.
thank you Aniruddha, Ranu, Sheetal, Aman, Anand, everyone who's worked, Sunil, for actually initiating the whole relationship part of it. So thank you one and all, and
Thank you.
stay tuned. We'll
Thank
keep seeing
you.
you each other.
Thank you, Anjali.
Thank
Thank you,
Thanks,
Priya.
Vinod.
Bye.
Right, bye.
Bye, Vinod.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye,
Priya.
bye, Priya.
Bye, Priya. Thank you.
Thank you.